does your communication look like on social media? If someone were to read the last several comments that you've posted on Facebook, Instagram, or maybe Twitter or some other place, how do you communicate? In this video, I want to share with you 6 tips for communicating on social media. Hello everyone, Rick Thomas here. We're helping people live effective lives. You're very much aware that social media is an amped up place, and sometimes with some people the communication, well, it is not as civil as it should be. We are representatives of Christ. Therefore, our communication, well, it communicates what we think about Christ. It communicates the depth and the sufficiency of our relationship with Him. And so how do you communicate on social media? Have you fallen into the trap of communicating with unwholesome speech? Well, in this video, I want to give you 6 tips that I trust the Lord will use to spur you on to loving good deeds. These tips He's used to convict me, to be quite honest with you. Now, this is a non-exhaustive list. You may have some ideas of your own, and if you have some tips that you would like to share with our community, just put them in the comment section of this video. Let me jump right into it. 6 tips for communicating on social media. Number 1, and maybe the most important one, is you are my brother or you are my sister. If you are a brother or sister in Christ, then we must talk to each other like brothers and sisters in Christ. The Spirit of God is in you. The Spirit of God is in me. Christ died for us. I am assuming that you are a believer. And if you are a Christian, you are the Father's child. We are the Father's children. If I walked into your home and I began to say unkind things to your child, guess what? You would be offended. When we say harsh things to or harsh things about God's children, we are insulting the Almighty. My friends, this should not be. If we must disagree, we should not cop an ungodly attitude as we are disagreeing with each other. So point number 1, you are my brother or you are my sister. Point number 2, ask questions first. It is impossible to say everything that needs to be said in a blurb on a Facebook page, a post, or even in a web blog, in an article. For example, the articles that I write on my website, most of them are about 2,000 words. Do you know a book is 40,000 words or more, depending on the book? I mean, there is no way that any person could sufficiently cover a topic to meet your preferences in a blurb or even in a short article. My appeal to you is to give your brother or sister grace, which you can do by asking a question before making a statement. And so if you read something on a social media platform, and well, to avoid the tension of the person that you are communicating with, what if you ask them a clarifying question rather than making an assumptive statement? Point number 2, ask questions first. Point number 3, trust neither of us. There is no doubt that I can be wrong about something. In fact, I have been wrong about many things in my life. My wife would attest. She would give you a long list of things that I have done wrong. But did you know that you could be wrong too? Wouldn't it be better to enter into a conversation with a healthy amount of self-suspicion? Neither of us is omniscient. I will state my opinions, and you share yours, and it would bless both of us if we did not strap our different views to a grenade and launch them at each other. Point number 3, trust neither one of us. Point number 4, no public arguments. My standard policy is I will not engage in a public argument with anyone. Now, there are 3 reasons for this. In almost all cases, we're talking about a secondary issue. And then number 2, quite frankly, I don't have the time. And then number 3, it does not build up the watchers. And what I mean by the watchers, well, I know that I communicate on a platform where people are looking through our community window. And so I'm really concerned about the people who are watching, and that's one of the reasons that I don't communicate or argue with people on a public platform. There are many burnt out Christians, there are many lost people who are looking for help, and when they step into our community and we're just arguing with one another, well, that's not beneficial to them. It doesn't magnify the name of Christ, and it's really not good for each other. Now, if I write something that's heretical, then I want you to come to me with your gospel guns blazing. And you can do that privately first. And if I do not change, then find a friend or two and approach me again. But again, point number 4, no public argumentation. Number 5, allow freedom. Why can't it be okay to let a person have their freedom to live their Christ life the way they choose? I'm talking about secondary matters here. Are secondary matters that vital to you? If you need to share your view, will you do it kindly with grace, allowing for another perspective besides yours? Perhaps before you sound off on a matter, you could talk to your pastor or another trusted biblicist to gain their perspective. You know, if you took the time to ask somebody else their perspective on what you are reading on the social media platform, maybe that process of taking the time to ask someone would be just enough time to remind you that what you're about to say is not that essential of a comment. I've had to learn that the hard way, and I found that it's quite beneficial if you would wait 15, 20, 30 minutes before you send that email, before you comment on social media. And then number 6, read the context. Most of us read our blurbs on platforms like Facebook, and you're reading the blurb, which is part of a larger context. If you have a different opinion and you want to share it, make sure that you understand the context of that blurb before you disagree. Many times a person will read a blurb from an article, they will miss the context, they sound off on it. Inevitably, they're hijacking the author's point, they're creating an issue that did not exist because they did not take the time to clarify the context of the blurb. My rule of thumb is that if you're too lazy or you're too busy to gain the context, then I'm not going to permit you to take up my time to explain what the article already lays out for you. I mean, if I've taken the time to write the article and explain what I mean, and you read a blurb and you want to know what I mean, well, I'm not going to take that time to do that because I've already taken that time. Don't be lazy. Get the full context. All right, this is 6 tips for communicating on social media. Number 1, you are my brother. You are my sister. Number 2, ask questions first before you make statements. Number 3, trust neither of us. Have a healthy dose of self-suspicion. Number 4, no public arguments. Give some consideration to the watchers, especially the burnout Christians or the unbelievers who are looking in on our conversation. Number 5, allow freedom. And I'm speaking about secondary matters. And then number 6, read the context. Now, if you'd like to talk to me about this video, I would love to chat with you. Go to our free community forums on our website, and you can ask questions about that. Maybe you have a question about something else. Also, if you have some more tips, there has to be more tips than my 6. You can put those in the comment section of this video. Thank you so much for watching.